Years since our kingdom fell.
Thermonuclear skirmish.
The earth is sour.
Our bones are poisoned.
We have become half-life.
Let's go.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to probably the biggest knockoff I've ever seen in a board game. And by knockoff, I say, this looks surprisingly similar to Mario Kart. Today I have Dungeon Kart from brotherwise games. It's 2 to 4 players, ages 10 plus, and takes about 30 to 60 minutes of play. Quick disclaimer, it has been opened, the decks have been sleeved. Jason did this yesterday while we were busy at a Star Wars Unlimited tournament, and he gave into his impulses and bought this. So let's check out Dungeon Kart. Yeah. So, kart racing hits the tabletop. Outrun your evil rivals in this fast-paced board game for 2 to 8 players. Shift into high gear. Clear the way with bombs and fireballs, then race to the finish. Race karts are truly modular cores. Millions of track combinations are possible. Use spells and unique powers to clear pesky heroes out of the way and take out other bosses. Non-stop action. Every round you adjust your speed based on your custom dashboard. Movement points power your kart through the course. As far as contents go, we have 15 double-sided map tiles, so really 30. 10 acrylic racers, 10 character cards with matching placement tokens, 8 dashboards with stands, 3 placement boards, 8 spell markers, freeze tokens, finish line pieces, first player coin, bomb, zombie, hazard, grass, crystal, and smoke bomb tokens. 8 team markers, 2 hazard dice, a hazard bag, 11 epic hero tokens and cards, 36 spell cards, rulebook, and racing guide. And this is the first printing. Not sure if this is on Kickstarter. I didn't see this. Honestly, I probably won't back it, but here we are. Our Wish.com Donkey Kong here. We have our rulebook. Pretty easy looking setup. Dashboard racers. Gameplay. All the special icons, racetrack types of terrain, hazards, coins, special actions, end of the round, and about 14 pages, of course, with a nice reference on the back. Instructions on how to assemble the dashboards. Preset tracks. This is all preset tracks. I don't know why you wouldn't put measuring in the rule book. Dealing with ties and placement. FAQs. That's a pretty big section on FAQs. Little guide on racer abilities. How spells work. And this is 23 pages. 24 pages include back. Kind of odd that a lot of the rules you expect to be in the rulebook are there. Here are our boards. They are gloss coated, so that's kind of nice. About 2 to 3 millimeters. They do feel good though. The tokens do feel good. And they're double-sided, it looks like. And they kind of stick together. Yes, this is our bag. Hey, I'm pretty sure that it is going to wrinkle over time, but It does look pretty nice. We have our little snaps for the dials, some crack baggies, slots, our dice, D6s that are customized. That's kind of nice. And it does have a little thing to be able to grab tiles. The tiles are also coated with gloss finish. I'm guessing this is a starting tile at least. They're a fairly good size. It's about 9 by 8. This can take up a lot of space. On this other tray, it is nice that it fits in. Here are our acrylic standees. So they are treated on one side with the screen print, the other side is not. And then we have the bases with the names of the drivers on there, so that's pretty cool. I'm not sure if this is the right guy, but let's see how this works. And it's pretty snug, fits pretty well. Again, don't know if this is the right driver. We got this definitely not Bowser looking token. We have these 8 player aids, I believe there are, and that's kind of nice. Everyone gets a thing to do quick reference and checks. Actions, card abilities, random structure on your turn. This is actually really handy. And I do like the fact that it folds out because you can put everything in it. Very cool. Now let's check out some of these cards. We have a Sword Mage who, yeah, this is a really weird 3D art. A Ninja, Shinobi, a Pirate, a Samurai, a Sorcerer, a Cleric, a Necromancer, a Pharaoh, a Fighter, a Druid, and Princess Zelda. I swear these are D&D characters. I'm guessing these are drivers. We have Cleopatra, Klonos, okay, Umbra, Ravenous, Porcus. I guess this is supposed to be Bowser. King Croak, maybe that's Bowser. Killa, which is the Tim Mood Donkey Kong here. And Gorgona? What, I just said Medusa? Totally not a bomb Explodo. And Belladonna, which is probably a vampire. Yeah, it's a vampire. Freeze, it's a Ice Cube. Fear, which is a not Shy Guy or that ghost, the booze. Sabotage, which has the Hammer Bros hammer. Haste, Wings on a Tiger. Totally not Invincibility Star. Teleport. Bombs. Fireball. Cave In. More bombs, more sabotages, more rages. A green firebolt. That might be a color issue. More haste, casing. Zombies attack. So the 90s are calling. Payday. Again, not Bowser coins. And more green firebolts. Interesting. Well, let's assemble everything and see how it fits in the box. And see how the game plays. Okay, I got everything to fit in the box. And there's a few things I've noticed while assembling all this stuff. Well, if you're wondering what this seems to be extra pieces. This Broken Racer token here. These aren't cut perfectly to the dimensions that they should be for the thickness. While putting this in, this is like, I don't know, 0.5 millimeter way too big. That pushed this apart. The other ones kind of worked, so your mileage may vary. The books are off to the side. But there is going to be some serious gameplay issues I can see in the future of playing this game. The storage works. I'm not a fan of it, but it works. I really don't see a point in these slots. You can put stuff in them, but I don't know why you would. One of the most important things that I think is going to be an issue with this game is these stands don't actually hold your dashboard up very well. They are fairly loose, which wouldn't matter so much if we kept it, but these are double-sided boards. And I thought this was kind of weird because the instructions show that it should be this side, but with the way these cutouts are aligned, it means that they should be reversible, but it doesn't say that, so it's a little confusing. Other thing is this gear shift knob. This one stays pretty well, but some of them are really loose. And that's going to matter while playing, like this one. It just, I don't know why it won't snap properly. That's a little bit better. But over time, I can see this wearing out and slipping. I don't know how much it's going to affect it, but you can see that if you hit like 11, it goes straight to 12 and down. That's probably going to be an issue with gameplay of keeping track of how things are. But these legs just fall out. And the fact that they're double-sided, but the manual doesn't actually say that. The assembly instructions just tell you to, hey, do this, but it doesn't tell you what side. So I had to go in the rule book, and it shows this side. So I'm not exactly sure why there's another side. It's a little weird. The token placement stuff was kind of vague because it said put all the tokens with a tan background, but then some of them had like rings and stuff that kind of confused me, but I think they're supposed to be in here. Like this tombstone, tan background, but has a black ring, different than the rest. I think it goes in here. But then I also have some of the hex tiles that have tan backgrounds, like the smoke here. But these don't go in. It's a little weird on the setup of the rules. Rulebook is a little clunky. Jason's better with the rules luring and interpreting stuff, so I guess I'll have to wait for his input on that. It's a little odd. So you can see this is where the deck of cards is supposed to be, but it just turned into that tray, a whole sleeve of cards here. This is a very big tray that'll fit everything. Not too much of a problem. But play-wise, I see some issues coming up. This is just kind of weird. I'm going to have to glue this together, and Jason's probably going to be annoyed with that. I don't know what the extra parts are for. There is no reference to them. Seems a little odd, I guess, to replacement parts, which cool if you need them. But I'm going to set up a map and go over how this game works. All right. This is the beginner board setup. It is actually not in the predetermined racetrack book that they give you. You actually have to build it from this diagram. Now, I would say it seems like a mess, but at least they put the board numbers in the corner so you can kind of find and place things fairly easily out. If you're wondering why these character cards are here, it's a special setup rule. When these guys come out as obstacles, you're going to place obstacles randomly with these 3 red indented corners, and you draw it. You can't have 2 of these, I guess, epic bosses in the same spot, and they have continuing effects. Like the princess here has a continuous effect. The pirate, not so much. He just puts out coins. And it's kind of funny because if you run them over, they die. So I found that kind of hilarious. Yeah, it's a little interesting on how everything sets up in the game here. These hex tokens, these special hex tokens, are basically used as these special abilities that affect the environment. So like the druid here, it says place grass tokens underneath the druid in all 6 adjacent spaces. If a racer hits the druid, they die, and then remove the druid. I think that's the druid dies. I have to continue reading the rules, just doing the setup right now. But there's a lot of variety in this game. These pips are also what your movement points are going to cost to move through the terrain. And you have to spend all your movement points or you spin out. And that's what this dial is. So from what I read, you shift it up by one level at a time and you have to spend all your movement points. If you run into that terrain, you have to shift down to it to the lowest. And then you have these actions that you can only do once per turn. These you can do continuously, I think, because it says once per turn over there. But we will try the game out and give the first impressions. Component-wise, there's a lot of stuff here, but I don't know if it makes it good. There's also certain things like these dice. This is the boost die used specifically for these hazards, I guess. But we have two of them out, and then we have the smash thing over here. That's why that die's there, just a reminder. Every board is different. Every driver has special abilities. So we'll run this probably 2 games and see how it goes. We got done playing our first game of Dungeon Kart, and we did 2 laps. Wasn't really clear on if we were supposed to do a fixed amount. Couldn't find it in the book. Kind of surprised by that, but I decided to do 2 laps just because all the things that can happen in the race, it feels kind of weird just to go one time around. I did find the Kickstarter, and brotherwise, I completely forgot that Boss Monster and Overboss, since I actually have those games, just haven't played them in a long time. Jason told me he paid about $60 for this plus tax, and I have to say, there's a lot of value in the non-Kickstarter version of this game. For $60, you get basically 29 different tiles, RNG setup. You get 10 racers. You get 8 different control boards. It's not much different from the actual Kickstarter initial pledge. But if you go with the everything, you get basically double the content of boards. You get 7 void track tiles, 2 new racers, and a silver slicer car dash that probably has some better abilities. And then for the gold level for 80, you get another 8 ice peak tracks, 2 more drivers, 40 metal coins, which is pretty sweet for $80 with everything else, and a leaderboard, so I guess you could run heats. I actually really like this game, and it does bring some nostalgia with Mario Kart, grabbing around, getting power-ups. The terrain, I should rephrase that, the hazards can be swapped out over the course of the race or added, and I mean swapped out by running them over. You remove them, and you can dump zombies, bombs blow up some stuff. There's just a lot of neat changes to the game. And honestly, who says you can't play the way you want to? I don't really like race games. And I say that because they're kind of boring. You just sit in a circle, do your own thing, and that's all you're really trying to do. Dungeon Kart encourages combat, bumping, messing with your opponents. This is probably the funnest race game I've played that's actually more, I mean, it's a race. But for me, race games are just like, I go in a circle. Cool, it's NASCAR. I mean, let's face it, we all watch races for crashes, apparently, I guess. I don't know. But Dungeon Kart is actually fun. It feels engaged all the time. You're not just doing your own thing. You're figuring out how to mess with your opponents. There's a lot of clutter on the board, but it's not too difficult to manage. And honestly, I don't really understand why the shift stands are the way they are, because Jason was arguing, well, it's to know the speed, but you don't know what their penalties are if they don't lower to that speed, so they could be cheating. And he's just like, well, and I was just like, I mean, whatever, dude. You do you. And Jason did cheat a lot during the first game. But I actually like this game. I find it surprisingly entertaining. It's not something I'd pull out all the time, but I do like it. I like the mechanics of it. There were some clunky parts in the rules. There was no easy reference or glossary to help. It didn't seem like it should be necessary because the game's not that complex. But there was a few questions that, of course, Jason would find something to have issue with, like, can you end your move in a space with another car because you have to move? And I was like, well, you can't. But he is very literal about stuff. As far as the character designs go, I like the character abilities. They're actually pretty fun. The car abilities also, they're pretty good variety of what you can do. All the spells especially with the way the setup is of how each spell deck is based on your position. It's a nice balance. There is some RNG of what you're going to get out of it being good, but you have better chance of catch up if you're in last place to get from the C deck, which seems to have the spells that give you a lead. So there's a nice balancing system. The special abilities that all the guys have, really like that. Added a lot more versatility and actually gave you more flexibility than I thought this game would give you. The bumping of people is really cool, just because you can throw off plans really well, and it's done well, surprisingly, for being as simple as it is. But Dungeon Kart is, I think, a pretty good game. I actually am really surprised. I thought brotherwise were the people that did Boss Monster. I like Boss Monster over Boss, not so much, but I completely forgot about brotherwise since I just haven't got anything from Boss Monster in a long time. But my recommendation for Dungeon Kart? Oh, yeah, if you like Mario Kart in a board game and you like messing with people more than racing, I'd definitely say get Dungeon Kart. I'm pretty stunned that I actually like rating it pretty high. Like, I like Heat, but I don't actually want to play Heat half the time. Dungeon Kart has more interaction with other players, which is what I really like. The combat mechanic plus the race mechanic just works really well. The just random amount of terrain tiles is amazing to actually let you do kind of long races. I like that. There's so much variety and replayability that this definitely goes up high. If the group wants to play a racing game, it's probably always going to be Dungeon Kart. I'm probably going to ignore Heat and Formula D. What else we have that races? I think that's it. But yeah, I like Dungeon Kart a lot. And I do like it, like I said, because it changes the way it's not just a race. It's not just going in circles. Well, it is, but there's other things you can do. Well, that's been the unboxing and first impressions of Dungeon Kart. If you like what I do, please subscribe to the channel, leave comments, let me know if there's anything I missed. Other than that, take care and GG's.